Okay, so what if I told you that you could totally reshape your entire future just by making one single shift in how you think? I know, sounds too good to be true, right? But that's the powerful promise from one of the absolute giants of personal development, Jim Rohn. We're going to break down this simple, powerful philosophy that took this guy from totally broke to a millionaire in just 6 years. He said time is more valuable than money. You can get more money, but you can't get more time. This one single idea, it's the foundation for literally everything Jim Rohn ever taught. It's that huge realization that our most precious resource isn't what's in our bank account. It's the clock. It's our time. And how we choose to invest every single day, well, that's what really determines our future. And you know what? This belief, it was totally forged in failure. Jim Rohn wasn't born some kind of guru. Nope. He was just a simple farm boy from Idaho who dropped out of college after only 1 year. And by the time he was 25, man, he was broke, deep in debt, and just falling behind on all the promises he'd made to his family. But then, something absolutely incredible happened. In just 6 short years, he went from that broke 25-year-old to a millionaire by age 31. And here's the real kicker, the part you have to get. His circumstances, they didn't change one bit. The government was the same, the economy was the same, the taxes were the same. The only thing that changed was him, his philosophy. So, how on earth did he make such a dramatic change? Well, to really get the solution, we've got to understand the problem first. Let's take a look at where he started what he called a life adrift. His early life was just a series of what seemed like totally logical steps, right? But they all led him to a dead end. He was working hard, I mean really hard, but just getting nowhere. He was stuck. And it was right at this low point that, well, fortune kind of stepped in. He met his mentor, a man named Earl Schoaf, he would change his life forever. See, before meeting Mr. Schoaf, Rohn had a whole long list of excuses. If you'd asked him back then why he wasn't doing well, he'd have told you, oh, the taxes are too high, prices are crazy, my company just doesn't pay enough. The blame was always out there. It would never, ever have occurred to him that the real problem was inside his own head. But his mentor, this Earl Schoaf guy, he saw it. He knew the problem wasn't Rohn's work ethic. The guy worked hard. It was his mindset. So he handed him what he called the master key to a better life. And guess what? It had nothing to do with getting a new job. It was all about adopting a new personal philosophy. Okay, so Schoaf gave him this incredible metaphor. He said, think of all of life's circumstances, the economy, politics, even just plain bad luck. Think of all that stuff as the wind, right? It blows on every single one of us. You can't change the direction of the wind, but you can change the set of your sail. And your personal philosophy, that's how you set your sail. It is the one thing you control that determines your ultimate destination. And this is how that whole idea plays out in real life. It's so simple, it's brilliant. See, Rohn realized that failure isn't some big catastrophic event. Whoop. It's just a few small errors in judgment repeated every day. And success? It's the exact same formula, just flipped. It's a few simple disciplines practiced every single day. The choice between grabbing an apple or a candy bar, taking a short walk or crashing on the couch. These seem so small, but these are the tiny hinges that swing the biggest doors of your life. I mean, just think about that for a second. It took Rohn 6 years of repeating those tiny errors day after day to end up broke. And it took him just 6 years of practicing new, simple disciplines to become a millionaire. The time frame was exactly the same. The only thing that was different was what he did every day. And that right there, that is the absolute core of his transformation. The world didn't magically get easier for him. The wind didn't suddenly start blowing in his favor. He stopped waiting for the wind to change, and he started adjusting his own sail. All right, so this leads us to maybe the most practical part of his entire philosophy. If you want to change your results in life, you don't start by changing your job or your city or your relationships. Nope, you start by working on yourself. Rohn had this amazing quote. He said, learn to work harder on yourself than you do on your job. He explained that if you work hard on your job, you'll make a living, which is fine. But if you work hard on yourself, you can make a fortune. See, he was already a hard worker, but that just paid the bills. It was only when he started working hard on himself, reading the books, learning new skills, constantly refining his philosophy, that's when things really took off. Your personal growth, that's the engine for everything else. He also had this brilliant way of looking at things. He taught that life and business are just like the seasons. You can't change the seasons, right? Winter is coming whether you like it or not. But you can change yourself. You can learn to handle each season. So what does that really mean? Well, during the winters, the tough times, you don't complain. You use them to get wiser, stronger, better. Then you take advantage of the spring. When opportunity shows up, you have to plant your seeds. You have to act without delay. In the summer, you nourish and protect what you've planted. You defend your values against all the inevitable threats that will pop up. And finally, you reap in the fall. You take full 100% responsibility for your results with no complaints and no apologies. Okay, let's move on to the final piece of this whole philosophy. And honestly, this might be the most profound lesson of all. It's this idea that life isn't about what you get, it's about who you become. So the story goes that Mr. Schaaf told a young Jim Rohn to set a huge goal for himself, like becoming a millionaire. But the reason he gave for it, it's not what you'd expect. So let me ask you, what is the real purpose of setting a big, hairy, audacious goal? And here's the answer his mentor gave him. Set a goal to become a millionaire for what it will make of you to achieve it. Boom! The real value isn't the money in the bank. It's the person you have to forge yourself into to get there. It's the discipline, the courage, the new skills, the resilience you build along that journey. That's the real treasure. Think about it. The stuff you get, it can be lost. In fact, Rohn himself lost his first fortune. But what you become in the process, that can never, ever be taken away from you. The skills you learn, the character you build, those are your real, permanent assets. So, here's the final takeaway, the big idea to leave you with. Your life's direction is set by your philosophy, not by your circumstances. The wind is going to blow, the seasons are going to turn, that's a guarantee. But you're the one setting the sail. So the only real question left is, what will you change today? What one small discipline, what one tiny shift in your philosophy are you going to make starting right now?